It's been a while since I've done one of my killer classes. All right. So I've had an incredibly busy summer where I'm restructuring a ton of stuff in what I do and how I do it. I have these great ideas and we just dive in and do them. And it usually takes 5 times longer than I thought. That's cool. It's, a heck of a lot better than actually working for a living. That's a joke. But anyway. Um, I had wanted to bring this information to you more in the middle of the year. Here I am. What are we? September, October, November, December. 2/3 the way through the year. It is what it is. I apologize. At the beginning of the year, so the end of last year and the beginning of the year, right in those few days, I had a free webinar followed by a class called One New Client Every Week. A ton of people took that training and a ton of people benefited massively for the first time ever from that training. All right. This class that we're looking at, this free training, if you want to follow up on this, you don't have to. You're going to learn so much from this that you don't even have to. But if you want to follow up on what we got here, the class that's going to follow this is basically, I would say it's like the other half of the picture. Okay. I mean, One New Client Every Week will do exactly that. If you just trundle off, you take that training and actually do what I say, homework and all, and then you actually go out and you actually work and you actually execute the business that you design with me in that training, you will actually start to make real money. All right. This training, however, is going to free you from the drudgery or a massive amount of the drudgery of prospecting. Okay, so we put those two together. We put One New Client Every Week together, the training that I did at the beginning of the year, and we put this training together. You have an incredible business model that's going to give you really what I was looking for myself. Yeah, I got it, Daryl. Daryl hates prospecting. There is no person in the world who loves prospecting. The only people who do prospecting are salespeople who have to do it in order to live, like us, right? But, when I first started my business back in 2010, what I was looking for was really two things. I was looking for more money. Well, I was looking to, be an entrepreneur, number one. So I guess I was looking for three things. But really, I was looking for more money. And I was really looking for the time to really enjoy my life. I mean, I've worked since I was a teenager, right? And I ain't a teenager anymore. So, I wanted money and time. What I did was, and this was cool, when I started my business, I was able to create money. It's just I was killing myself doing it. And it was only when I started figuring out a lot of stuff that I'm going to tell you about today, which really, took me like a year or so to figure that out. When you're in the middle of the battle, it's a little difficult to see what's going on. But it took me about a year or so to figure all that out. But when I started actually implementing what I'm going to tell you today, then it got to where I had both the money and the time. And that's what we want to talk about today. Who here, while I'm not going to belabor talking about One New Client Every Week, but who here bought that training? Great question, Troy. Daryl, you bought it. Anybody else buy that training? So let me answer while y'all are figuring out whether you bought that training or not. So apparently I had one person buy it from this group. I sold nearly 100 units of that. Troy, this webinar is for people who are either new to local business marketing or you're not new, but you have reached what I call a ceiling in your business. In other words, your business is working kind of, sort of, but it's not really working as well as you want it to work. Troy, if you're making $150,000, if your revenue is $150,000 a year or more, you can just leave. I mean, I'm happy for you to be here. I would love for you to be here, but this really isn't for you. Okay, this is for the people who want to either get started, who've tried to get started. Troy, that's another great question. Troy's asking all the great questions. The people who want to get started, and who've been trying to get started, because they're like a world of these, right? Who've been trying to get started but haven't really got traction, or they're like, got a couple of clients, got a client this month, no clients next month, that kind of thing. Troy says, will you be learning a skill? Troy's, I think you've never been on a webinar with me. I don't really focus on skills too much. I mean, if you, okay, by skill, let's talk about your definition of skill, because I don't know what that is. So one skill or one set of skills could be how to rank a Google My Business page in the 3-pack. I mean, that's actually a series of skills, right? Because you got to claim it, optimize it, and then you have to, give Google all the rankings signals so that it actually ranks. So that's what you mean by a skill. In other words, a technically based skill, something like that. No, I don't even deal with that stuff, Troy. Why don't I deal with that stuff? I'll tell you why I don't deal with stuff. I mean, I know all that stuff. My God, I've been doing this stuff professionally since 2007. Why? But in terms of my teaching, why don't I teach that stuff? Because, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Say, Lee, you're absolutely wrong. This is not me. But I'm not going to be wrong. Y'all's hard drives are full of products that you bought that tell you how to do real cool stuff, 95% of which actually do work really well, yet you're not making real money. So somebody tell me that that's not you. I'm going to drink some water. Daryl said you got it. Sam, I'm going to steal that. I have a very wealthy computer. And Troy, that's why I don't teach skills. Because, literally, you can buy, I mean, take my friend Jim Mack, okay, who's a colleague and a friend of mine. If you know of Jim Mack, he does a lot of training on Google My Business. I mean, for 27 bucks, you can go out and buy Jim's excellent training on ranking Google My Business pages. 27 bucks. I mean, literally, my wife and daughter and I just went to the burrito place for lunch today. I spent more than 27 bucks there. So you can take the same amount of money that I spend for lunch, and notice when you eat lunch, it's gone. Okay, it has no lasting effect, right? I mean, you just have food for like the next several hours, right? So I buy lunch, 27 bucks, or you can buy this training for 27 bucks. And I'm not saying the training isn't valuable. I mean, Jim's stuff is phenomenally valuable. Or I know, in the local business world, I know everybody who's, if you're on somebody's list, I know them personally. Gene Kalinda, yet another good friend of mine, fabulous stuff. 27 bucks, I mean, gets you an entire business model. Yet Sam has a very wealthy computer, which means that Sam's, it's good to buy things, it's good to learn things, it's good to get assets and stuff like that. I consume a lot of what we call info products myself, but I also make really good money, all right? And so the difference between me and everybody else, Troy, just to finish this up, is I'm not going to teach you a new skill like that. I'm going to teach you actually how to build a business. All right, because you can build a business doing Google My Business stuff. You can build a business selling websites. You can build a business doing SEO. You can build a business doing video marketing. You can build, somebody stop me. You can build a business doing, Facebook ad management. I mean, yada, 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 forever, forever, forever. And, but if you don't, if you have the expertise, if you have the training on how to do that stuff, maybe some cool software that can do stuff for you, go out and find leads and all that stuff, that's great. But if you can't make money, big freaking deal. Okay, so the difference between me and everybody else is I'm the guy who solves the big freaking deal problem. Okay, do y'all understand what I just said, the distinction that I just made? Because it's super important if you're going to understand me. Awesome, Troy. Thank you so much, buddy. So And this is why my webinars look a little different, all right? Because this is why it's not just PowerPoint, 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 which segues into a sales pitch. I don't even have a sales page up yet, but and I am going to offer you a class, but I will briefly explain to you what that's going to be briefly at the end of the webinar. I want you to learn a ton of stuff, but this is actually why my webinars look really, really different, because I'm coming at this from a massively different point of view. Okay. So back to the ranch, one new client every week. This is the training I did at the beginning of the year. I had massive results with that. It just rocked the freaking Casbah. Sonia Vickers, I purchased and went through all your videos for one client a week training. You're right, training is life-changing. I mean, these are unsolicited testimonials, guys. Okay, so Liz said, best of all, got my first client for a case study and testimonial in 1 week. So people were doing really, really good with that. Now, one new client is all about how to go out and make sales. It's how to structure your business, what to sell, who to sell it to, and how to make money. But the thing is, you know, I realized, I mean, believe me, it was phenomenal. That's literally the best training I've ever created in my entire life. But the thing is, I realized later on that I was leaving half the story out. And the other, let me explain something to you. Let me just give you an idea. So a few weeks ago, I got a new client. Excuse me, I'm drinking a bottle of water. Well, I'm not drinking the bottle, I'm drinking the water. But anyway, I got a new client, and this was an entrepreneur in Florida who's starting a series of medical marijuana businesses. Yeah, I say that with a laugh because I don't even drink beer. But anyway, this guy had been on my list for a long time. I looked inside the autoresponder. I mean, it was like 3.5, 4 years, something like that. And they just, you know, contacts me out of the blue. Lee, I need help. You know, phone number. I call the guy back. I said, hey, you know, this is Lee. He said, thanks so much for calling me back. He explained to me what he was doing. He's opening up several medical marijuana clinics, and they're trying to use, you know, Facebook ads and stuff like that to find people who have the focus of this particular business is finding people with chronic pain issues, and giving them an option, giving them something else that can help alleviate that chronic pain besides extremely dangerous drugs like OxyContin or oxycodone or whatever you call it. So I was down with that because here in the United States, at least, we're having an opioid crisis of addiction. So that made total sense to me. And so I said, well, what do you need help with? And I said, you know, he's explained it to me. And I also ask everybody who contacts me the first time, I said, why did you call me in the first place? Or why did you get in touch with me in the first place in this case? He said, because I know that you can solve my problem. Now get this, guys. He said, I know you can solve my problem. I said, well, actually, I can solve your problem, but how do you know I can solve your problem? He says, because I've been on your list. You know, I've been reading your stuff, right? And I understand who you are and what you do, and what you know how to do is what I need. Specifically, just to finish the story real fast, the guy was having a major problem with his funnel, not the mechanics of it. I mean, the mechanics of a sales funnel are ridiculously simple, but from the sales side of things. Again, Lee focuses on how to make money. Lee does not focus on technology too much because Lee can go out and hire, that Lee's me, right? Lee can go out and hire somebody real cheap to do the technology stuff for him. So, you know, he showed me some stuff. It took me about 4 nanoseconds to figure out what the problem was. Bam, new client. That's beautiful because, see, now you think about how that happened. That's a big deal, helping that guy. You think about how that happened. I didn't have to go out and find him. I didn't have to pick up the phone that day and call a bunch of people. He just landed in my lap. Why? Because I do religiously what I'm going to show you how to do and why you should do it on this webinar. So I think I covered the quick bit about me. For those of you who don't know me, I started in 2007, 2010, and went full time. I have been making a very fine living doing this stuff ever since. And let me ask you some questions. This is going to help me use examples just so I'm not talking extremely abstractly, okay? Just so that I can talk with some examples that are more focused for you. If you would just drop into the chat, what do you normally sell or want to sell? Okay, and the answers would be something like SEO, video marketing, ad management, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I'm getting some Google My Businesses, I'm getting some video marketings, chatbots, really cool. Yeah, so all that stuff. Yep, nice. Okay. Okay, well, that gives me a way of, I'm reading Debbie's answer. Oh, very cool, Debbie. That's very cool. So this is going to help me bring this down to brass tacks, okay? And now here's now that was a pretty easy question to answer, right? Here's a harder question to answer. What does your sales process look like? Now, you don't need to write down the whole thing, okay? Matter of fact, if you want to, write it down. First this happens, then that happens, then that happens, then that happens. Don, that is a fabulous program to be into. Then that happens, then that happens. That's a sales process, okay? So what does your sales process look like? I want you to really start thinking about this. Because right here, is where y'all generally start to completely miss the boat. Okay? Yes. Yeah, you have an unhappy smiley face there, but that's pretty funny. Get lost in thoughts and then quit. Yeah, referrals. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, but think about the sales process. Now, I know I just threw that out there. Let's define what a sales process is. So this is what I mean by a sales process, okay? A sales process are the steps you take, okay, to find potential leads. And we're going to define all this stuff because a lot of what y'all run into are definitions that really aren't correct. But potential leads, of those potential leads, converting, you're not going to convert all of them. Matter of fact, you're not going to convert anywhere near all of them, but some of those are going to convert into leads, right? And taking those leads and converting those into prospects, and I'll define prospect for you in a minute. Prospects, turning those into customers, and really where the gravy is, turning those customers into repeat customers. That process. You can't buy that process. Well, you can't buy that process for 27 bucks, right? See, understanding that process, how that works, and it's not just a matter of having a couple of landing pages and an email list, right, and an autoresponder. Yeah, you're going to need some landing pages and an autoresponder, but that's kind of like giving me a tractor. I don't need a tractor. I have no idea what to do with a tractor, right? So if you don't know what to do with the landing pages and the autoresponder, if you don't know really how to focus that toward your market, then it ain't going to work. So let's get real clear what I'm talking about here, because in the IM world, especially lately, I've noticed that these definitions of these things have really, really started to slip. I understand why they're slipping, because people want to sell you software, and the software is usually pretty cool. But people want to sell you software that's going to get you quote unquote leads. No, it's not going to get you leads. And I'm going to explain to you why. It's going to get you emails, all right? So I want to make sure that we're talking the same language here. Let's define potential lead. Okay, so potential lead is basically for you guys, if you're using scraping software and if you're being intelligent about it, and you end up with, let's say, a list of 100 real email addresses of plumbers in the United States. Okay, those are potential leads. If you do things the old-fashioned way, if you, and this is a really good thing to do, by the way, if you go to Chamber of Commerce meetings, meetup meetings, and stuff like that, network meetings, if you go to network meetings, then a potential lead, let's say you walk into a meeting and there are 40 people there, 40 different business people. The 40 different business people are a potential lead. They're not a lead, they're a potential lead. Okay, so that's a potential lead. Now let's define lead. So we have to have a way of marketing ourselves to the potential lead so that some of those potential leads take some action, which tells us that, yes, they're interested in what we're selling. And that's the difference between a potential lead and a lead. A lead is someone who has taken an action that indicates to you that they are interested in what you're selling. Just because you scraped an email, let's say you scraped an email of some plumber in Des Moines, Iowa, big freaking deal. That doesn't mean that plumber in Des Moines, Iowa has any interest in what you're selling at all. But if you, let's say, email that plumber in Des Moines, Iowa, and if you offer them some free information that they can download, and if your autoresponders can keep, the better ones can keep track of this, if you know that they actually downloaded it, then that plumber is not just a potential lead, that plumber has become a lead because that plumber has taken an action which indicates some level of interest. Does this make sense so far? Because the definitions are super critical here. Yes, no, maybe. Somebody give me an amen. Awesome. Now, what's the difference between a lead and a prospect? Well, let's go with the plumber in Des Moines, Iowa. And I'm not talking about exactly how you do stuff, okay? We're talking about definitions here. So you got the plumber in Des Moines, Iowa, okay? So they downloaded the freebie, just did something, downloaded it, in your autoresponder, you can tell whether they downloaded it or not, right? And so now you know they're a lead. So let's say that you have a list of everybody this week who downloaded your freebie. Let's just go with that idea. Okay, so out of all those potential leads, let's say 20 of them downloaded your freebie. Okay, your giveaway, your PDF, whatever it is. 20 people did that, or 20 businesses did that, right? So now you got 20 leads. Well, how do you know if they're prospects? Like, a prospect is defined as someone who is really, really very likely to get on a sales presentation with you. Doesn't mean they're going to. It just means they have a high likelihood of doing so, and that you have some evidence to that, for that. So go with the plumber thing. I mean, if I were to do the scraping and send them something, and then they, downloaded my freebie, and I had a list of the people that downloaded the freebie, which again, if you have a good autoresponder, something like ActiveCampaign is super easy to set up to tell you that. But let's say they downloaded my freebie and I had a list of people that downloaded my freebie. Well, what might I want to do then? Well, I would just call them up and just say, the next day, say, hi, this is Lee Cole, sent you some information about our business and, noticed you downloaded the information. I would go from there, basically introducing myself and asking them if they would like to know more. Knowing more being defined as we're going to get on a sales presentation together. So let's say I got 20 people who downloaded the freebie, all right? And let's say I call all 20 back. So, out of the 20, maybe 8, or if they download the freebie, they're probably pretty interested. But let's say maybe 8, it'd probably be a little more than that actually. But let's say maybe 8 said, yeah, I actually would like to know some more. Forget the details, okay? Now I've got a prospect, okay? So let's say out of the 20, now I've got 8 prospects. I got 8 businesses or owners or managers of businesses that I am willing to spend my time with in order to get them on a full-blown sales presentation. Because when they get, let's look at the list again. Scraped emails, They downloaded my thing. I called them up. 8 of them said that they were, yeah, I'm pretty interested in that. And what I'm going to do on that call is I'm going to offer them I'm not necessarily going to call a sales presentation, but I'm just going to say, well, why don't we, I just call, usually I say stuff like this. I just called you out of the blue. I know you're busy. When would be a good time for us to schedule some time where I can talk to you about how I can help your business? That's a long-winded way of saying, when's a good time for us to have a sales presentation? Okay. Now let's say, I forgot where I was with my numbers. I had 8 prospects. Let's say I call them back, and let's say, I get 4 of those on sales presentations. Okay. Well, I get 4 of those on sales presentations. Then I'm going to, I may have dropped a number or 2 here because I'm just doing this in my head. And let's say my closing rate on sales presentations, especially because of the way I've approached those, okay, let's say my closing rate's 50%. So I get 4 of them on sales presentations. Now I've got 2 sales. And once I've got 2 sales, either at the time of the sale or later on, Gene, I mentioned your name earlier in the webinar. How did you get their phone number? We're talking about basically, Gene, this webinar is a little different, okay? So this webinar is about essentially how to structure your prospecting, all right? So I'm not really worried about how somebody got somebody's phone number. I mean, you can buy leads, you can scrape leads, you can hire somebody in the Philippines to roll through LinkedIn. If you don't have any money, you can use LinkedIn. I mean, it really doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. Okay. Those are details. And so guys, just to reiterate this, you can buy those details amazingly cheaply. Okay. Like Gene Kalinda, who's on this webinar right now asking me questions, who is just like the awesomest person on the planet. And if you haven't bought Gene stuff, you really should just go Google that and go buy it right now. But you can buy like this entire system for doing some real cool stuff from Gene, except that people do that. And then like Sam, it sits on the hard drive and they never do anything because you lack the understanding to connect the dots between knowing how to do something and knowing how to build a real business. Okay, and again, that's where I come in, because I'm the guy that tells you how to build a real business. I'm the guy that's connecting those dots for you. So potential lead leads to leads, leads to prospects, leads to customers, and leads to repeat customers. And if you're really, really smart, Jamil, Gene, you're gonna have to pay me for this. No, you're not, of course. Yeah, Jamil's been on, oh, shoot. Did I send that to everybody or just Jamil? Hang on, guys. I've done this before. There you go, Jamil. One of the best marketing trainers out there. That name, learn it, buy her stuff, okay? So, and if, again, if you've been on webinars with me before, if you've taken any of my own trainings, I'm all about recurring income, all right? So customer, you can sell them a one-off. A one-off is defined as something somebody pays you one time for, or, which is great. I mean, this is better than not making any money, but really what you want to do, you want to focus your you want to focus your business on recurring income stuff, or else you're going to kill yourself working. So we talked about all of the, Gene, I'll do that later on. We talked about all of the definitions. Now, I want to know from you, because I'm, before I got into doing this stuff, I used to be a mathematics teacher, and I'm a little used to audience participation, right? So I want to know about you. Where do you, now that you know what a potential lead is, right? It's the stuff that perhaps is going to become a lead. Where do you currently get your potential leads from? How are you doing that? And I'm asking you again because I want to get this webinar. I'm trying to, I'm talking a little abstractly, but I'm trying to get it as down to brass tacks as I can get. So where do you get your leads from? So I'm asking you and expecting an answer. And I'm going to drink more water out of my bottle while you answer. Okay, so some people buy leads, all right? That's cool. Some people scrape and some people buy leads. Some people are using ads that lead to squeeze pages, very good. Some people use LinkedIn, one of my absolute favorite things, okay? Now, so of those of you who answered the question, ooh, Frederick, I like that. I like that. Yep, Rick, that's an awesome piece of software. Highly recommended. So, now, how do you determine if a potential lead is a lead? I mean, what's the next step for you? Okay. In other words, so let's say you've got, I mean, a bunch of people mentioned various kinds of software. Let's say you've got 100 emails, right? So you got 100 emails. How do you know who to focus on? Okay, so well, Lee, that's easy. I email them stuff. Okay, well, fine. I'm talking about what do you email them and how, you know, what is your, because if you're going to build a real business, you need to get this absolutely figured out. If you're going to build a real business, you need to be able to tell me very rapidly how your business works going through these 5 steps. First we do this, then I do that, and then they do this, and that's how I know they're a prospect. And then, you know, I do this other thing. Personally, I just call them up. But I do this other thing, we get on a few sales, you know, presentations and blah, 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 and then this is how I upsell them. If you're going to build a real business, you need to be able to say that in about, in less than 20 seconds, all right? So tell me, how are you determining if potential leads are actually leads? What's the thing they have to do? Love that, Rick. Fill out a form and have them submit in order to qualify. Love that. You know, they have a little hoop to jump through. Fiona's using paid ads in hopes that they approach her through qualifying them as a lead. Okay, that's good too. Wonderful. I love that. So, and the reason I'm asking you these questions is I'm trying to make sure you're thinking through this. Don't worry, I'm not just sitting here chewing the fat. We are actually going somewhere. Now, what process do you use? Love that, Jamil. Love that. So, Jamil, you really skipped from potential lead to prospect. Okay, Jamil says, email them and have them book an appointment with him using one of those calendar things, Calendly, which is like the world's hardest word to pronounce. But say that and that's fine. But basically jumping from potential lead to prospect, because you know somebody's going to book an appointment with you. It's according to what the appointment's for. Okay, I like to sell in 2 steps. One's a really quick phone call where I qualify the person, and the next step is the actual sales. Is the actual sales presentation. Now, how are you turning? So let's say you got leads. Okay, you got some people interested in your deal. Now, I just talked about Jamil. Think about how you're turning those leads into prospects. I mean, scratch your head. God, how am I turning those leads into prospects? What am I doing to do that? If you're going to have a real business, guys, this needs to be, follow-up's a little different, Rick. I love follow-up, and that's actually what we're going to talk about in just about a minute. But if you're going to build a real business, you actually need to probably have this all written down somewhere. But hey, guys, that's the way real businesses work. I mean, when I was a kid and worked my way through college, one of the jobs I had was with IBM. They have every job has a manual. It's all written down. They know exactly what they're supposed to do. It's all defined. It's all predefined, right? So you need to do that. So now, Rick, thank you for the word. I was struggling for that word. Systems. Rick says systems. You need systems. So let's look at the difference between Lee and everybody else. And look, I'm not dissing everybody else at all. I love all these people. I mean, really, I'm really close friends to all these people whose list you are on and think the world of them. Okay. But really, one of the things I bring to the table is a little bit broader understanding of building a business system. Okay. For these small, what I call lifestyle businesses. Now, think about this. I just want you to think through this. How do you turn leads into prospects, and how do you move prospects into the customer column? A customer is somebody that you're sitting down to, a prospect, somebody who's probably you have a really good chance of getting a sales presentation with. And a customer is somebody that you've actually given a sales presentation to, not all of whom are going to buy, obviously. So think about how you do that. And because I got so excited when I wrote this, because right here's where you make the real money. Okay, right here's where this one right here separates the real success, the truly successful people from the unsuccessful people, from the people who are frustrating the daylights out of themselves. Let's don't call those people unsuccessful. You're trying. I got it. Gene, that's a fabulous closing question, and it's very close to my standard closing question. How do you upsell or cross-sell your customers? In other words, if they buy one thing from you, how do you sell them more? And especially if they buy one thing from you, how do you upsell them into the big recurring income package? Yeah, got that? So is everybody, I knew that when I went through this that I was going to lose some people and I needed to re-explain. Are we up? Have I left anybody behind? Because look, I told you this was going to be a webinar unlike any webinar. If you haven't been on a webinar with me before, this webinar is going to be unlike any webinar you've ever been on. Because this is not PowerPoint, 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 PowerPoint. Oh, heck, here's a sales presentation, sales presentation, go buy that. And Sam spends a bunch more money, which is fine, Sam. Give me all the money you want to. I love money. But Sam spends a bunch more money, and Sam's hard drive is so freaking wealthy, right? Okay. Is anybody lost? Is anybody wondering what in the hell is Lee talking about? I mean, if you are, please tell me, because if I'm assuming here that we're not playing, and playing's fine. I'm a really goofy guy. I mean, Gene will tell you I'm a really funny guy. I'm all for goofing off and playing and having fun, but I'm not playing about you building a business. All right. And I'm not playing about helping you do that. You have more questions than answers. Yeah, Frederick, are you saying that I have left you with more questions than answers? Because if you're saying that, I know it might be a little frustrating, but I love hearing that, because what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying, no, not really. Frederick wasn't saying that. But if I did leave you with more questions than answers, then that would be good, because I'm trying to basically look at this at a little different angle. Because when you look at this stuff with a little different angle, then for a lot of people, just like with my previous training at the beginning of the year, one new client every week, for a lot of people, bam, it snaps into place. And guess what? They start really making money, real money, for the first time ever. So let's do some numbers here, okay? And I love that, Sam. Let's focus on the numbers here, because I want you to really, if you don't, and okay, I have to pull a lot of these numbers out of a hat, all right? In other words, what I'm saying by that is, I mean, this is just kind of spitballing, okay? But these numbers are, you know, so these numbers are not, we're going to talk about some numbers. These numbers are not carved in stone, but they're, because it really varies wildly according to what you're selling, who you're selling it to, how you prospect, you know, all that stuff. I mean, it just varies all over the map. But I want you to really understand what it's going to take for you to actually build a real business. Okay, so let's say for every 25 to 50 potential leads, you get one lead. Okay, so for the sake of just so that I can have a number that I can divide in my head real fast, let's say that 25 potential leads, 25 scraped emails. Out of those 25 scraped emails, one of them is going to take a an action that's going to indicate to you, yes, they have some interest in what you're doing. Now, that number varies all over the place, because if you spend more time, so, we were talking about scraping emails and sending emails, cold emails to, to leads. I mean, if you take more time and work on the selection process of, in other words, target your market a little better, then your numbers are going to go way up. But then, of course, you're having to spend time targeting your market, right? So please don't think these numbers are carved in stone. They're not. They're just pretty good, right? So let's say out of 25 potential leads, you get one lead. Now, once you think about this, having that one lead is cool, but just think about what else you have. You have 24 potential leads that, in a way, are totally wasted and took you time and money to get. Are those guys garbage? No, those guys aren't garbage. I mean, I just told you a story about the guy starting the medical marijuana business who's been on my list for like 3.5, 4 years, who called me out of the blue and said, Lee, I really need help with my funnel because we're spending massive amounts of money on Facebook ads and it's not working. Okay? That person was one of the 24. Aha, this is very interesting. And Jamil, yeah, they may not be ready at the time, right? When I taught the One New Client Every Week class, I was focusing on you finding the people who are ready, willing, and able right now. And like I said, what I'm teaching you today, and if you want to take my class from me next month, what I'm teaching you today, we're going to focus on the other people, because in that pile of potential leads and that pile of leads and all that stuff, there's a freaking gold mine. And it's by learning to nurture and process that gold mine, which is not rocket science, but it's also not simple. Okay, learning how to nurture, process the residue of all this stuff, that's where you're going to free yourself from prospecting. You're going to reduce your prospecting time. It's not going to take that long to do it, but you're going to reduce your prospecting time at least by 80%. Okay, so let's go with some numbers. So if you, let's say you have 1,000 potential leads. So you bought 1,000 emails of a certain kind of business. You use some software to scrape 1,000 emails from a certain kind of business, and using my 1 in 25, unless I goofed up with the numbers, and because I was writing this down pretty fast. 1 in 25 is a lead, so out of those 1,000, you're going to have 40 leads, right? Okay, so now a lead is just someone who said, yes, I at least have enough interest in this to click on the link. Okay, something that simple, right? Go to the website, click on the link, download the PDF, whatever. And again, your autoresponder, if you got a good one like something like ActiveCampaign, can keep track of all this stuff. Now, out of those 40 leads, they're not all going to be prospects. In other words, they're not all going to be all that interested today in hearing more about your deal. It doesn't mean that they won't be interested in the future. It just means that today they might not be that interested in hearing about your deal. So let's say that 1/10 of those are interested today in hearing about your deal, right? So out of the 40 leads, we've got 4 prospects. And let's say out of the 4 prospects, you get 2 of those on a sales call, and you're batting at about 50%, which if you're got your, this is essentially a funnel. I hate to call this a funnel because that's another word that has been totally screwed up. But anyway, this is essentially it's what we call in the old sales world a lead funnel, okay? Let's say you're batting 50%, which if you do it this way, in other words, if you're not spending your time doing what I call whipping dead horses, right? Not spending your time talking to the wrong people, right? Then you might be batting 50%. You might sell, you might close, 1 out of every 2 sales presentations you go on. So look, so here we got 1,000 potential leads, ends up with 40 leads, ends up with 4 prospects, ends up with 1 sale. And again, these numbers can vary really wildly, but I want you to look at these numbers in a really different way, okay? Now, here's where we get to where if we're really intelligent about this and if we structure this, again, it's not rocket science, but it's honestly not totally simple to do. If we structure this, then of all that prospecting you're doing or all that lead gathering you're doing and scraping and going to network meetings and all that stuff, you're just leaving a ton of, it's like residue, right? You're just leaving a ton of stuff out there, which is freaking gold. I mean, look at it like this. If you have 1,000 potential leads and only 40 of them turn into real leads, you have 960 potential leads that did not turn into real leads. It does not mean those people are garbage. It does not mean that. So, okay, so maybe half of them are garbage. Okay, so take out 500 from 960, you got 460, right? That's a ton. It just means that they were too busy to read the email. It just means that they were putting out a fire in their business, and God knows, I mean, if you run your own business, you know you're putting out fires. They're putting out a fire in their business. It just means that they just weren't really feeling it today. That's all it means. A lot of those people are going to be, and these are people, guys, you know, I mean, people run businesses. Businesses, you know, I call them people instead of businesses because we sell to people, okay? 960 potential leads. If you're smart, if you went to all the expense and or all the time to gather 1,000 potential leads, and you went to and you went to all the trouble to figure out the 40 that were leads, I'm suggesting that you do something intelligent with the 960. And I'm going to tell you the intelligent thing to do in just a minute, and then you can just say, Lee, this is wonderful, and you can trundle off and do it, and you can trundle off and do it, and then you can actually free yourself from doing heavy prospecting in just a few months. Well, look at it like this. Now, somebody said segmenting like 50 comments ago. This is basically what we're talking about here. Okay, so out of those 40 leads, let's say that I got 40 leads. I called them all up. I'm gonna see if they're interested in finding out more. Okay, something like that. In other words, I got another thing that, you know, it's like another hoop they have to jump through, right? I got another thing that they need to do in order to move down my sales funnel. And let's say 4 of them do, but look at this. 36 of them didn't. If 4 of them do and 36 of them didn't, that's 36 people who clicked on the link, went to your website, or downloaded your thing. They have demonstrated the fact that they're interested. It's just they may not be interested today, or maybe you called them at the wrong time, or maybe they have a hangover, or maybe their dog died, or maybe they've got to finish this other project in their business before they take on anything else. I mean, this happens all the time. Usually when we are prospecting and we're approaching other human beings, please understand this, it's usually a bad time for them. The timing's usually wrong for the prospect. That's why we have to, that's why our numbers we have to jack up our numbers on the front end, right? Okay, so let's say I get 1 sale out of those 4 prospects. So out of those 4 prospects, I get 2 sales appointments. One of them says yes, one of them says no, which in my book really means not today, right? Because, I mean, nobody tells me, hell no, Lee, I will never do business with you. I mean, nobody's ever told me that, all right? It's just, man, I don't really think this is for me right now, you know? That's fair. And they're probably telling you the truth. So 1 of the 4 closed. Now you got a sale. Whoopee, good for you. That means that you got 3 prospects who said, yeah, I'm pretty interested, but you couldn't get a sales appointment out of them. That's okay. You realize what gold this is? So when I taught one new client, it's kind of, I wish I'd put this into 2 columns where I had the 40 and the 4. and the 1 on one side and the 960 and the 36 and the 3 on the other side, okay? Because when I taught one new client every week, we were focusing on the leads that became prospects, that became sales, that became, recurring income sales. We were focusing on that. We did not focus on the residue. But out of that residue, the 960, the 36, and the 3, out of that residue done right, you can, literally within, just a few months, it's according to how big you want your business to be, but you can, within a few months, if you do it right, virtually never have to prospect again. Especially later on if you add another component to it, which is referrals. But I'm not talking about referrals today. Okay? This is going to free you from so much stuff. You're going to make more money and you're going to have a ton more time. So the 960 potential leads, the 36 leads, and 3 prospects are a freaking gold mine. The ones, I should have put the 1 sale here. The 1 sale, well, I'm not done with my funnel, am I? Because maybe that's a one-off. Maybe it's what we call a front-end product. Okay, so maybe it's, I don't know, $500 to optimize their Google My Business listing. That's great. Do you not realize how fast yours truly can spend $500? $500 to optimize their Google My Business listing when I really want to move them up into like $1,000, $1,500 a month recurring income thing where, we're doing SEO to that, right? Okay, so even the sales become leads for the next step. Now, somebody mentioned the word nurture. This is the deal, how to nurture this leftover part. That's where you're going to have to, that's where you're going to be able to break free from the hell of prospecting. And look, I got it. That's why I asked you where you were in your business at the very beginning. Some of you, like a lot of you, just hand on a stack of Bibles, just be honest with yourself. Don't do any prospecting anyway at all. That's fine. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Get over it. Just please know that you will never make any money if you don't solve that problem. But what I'm talking about is taking your business to the next level. Like I told you, when I started my business in 2010, I mean, really within like a month or two, I had hit a ceiling. I was making money, I was doing great and all that stuff. But because I was doing a lot of stuff the wrong way, my income wasn't growing and I was killing myself working. And then slowly I began to figure all this stuff out. Now, let me show you what I call a streamlined rational local marketing business. What it actually, this is not the only one on the planet, okay? But this is what it looks like, and this is how it's going to work. These are the steps you need to take. So those of you who have been waiting for Lee to finally get to the point, but I couldn't get to the point because you didn't understand what I was talking about before I got to the point, all right? Because you would have thought that I was talking about what everybody else is talking about, and I'm not talking about what everybody else is talking about, because God bless them, God bless you, everybody else, you got a whole hard drive full of stuff, and most of y'all ain't doing anything with it, when actually you could be doing something with it, like having a real business, okay? So these are the steps. Now, you're going to be able to download this whole thing, but if you're really, really, really interested in this, if I were you, I would be writing this down. This is how a newbie or a person who is frustrated and hasn't reached the income they want to, or has reached the income they want to, but really doesn't have the time to enjoy it, like you're working 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, okay? Which is nothing wrong with that. It's just what I personally do not want, all right? I mean, for me, you got to have money and time, not just money or time, okay? But this is how you create this is a way to create a phenomenal business. Notice it has 5 steps. 5 is not many. Here's how to do those. This is where you need to be taking notes. So step number 1, you need to decide. You notice how many times I've said recurring income products? You need to decide what recurring income product you want to sell. I've only said this like 40 million times on webinars. Stephen Covey, back in the late 80s, wrote a book called, I think it's late 80s, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People or something like that. I think it was the third habit was begin with the end in mind. I don't remember any of the rest of the book, but that one sentence stuck with me my entire life and really, really helped me. Begin with the end in mind. If you're driving from Atlanta, if you want to drive from Atlanta to Orlando, Florida, and you end up heading toward Birmingham, Alabama, guess what? You're not going to get to Orlando, Florida. It's pretty simple. Without a whole ton of extra work, like driving from Birmingham to Orlando, which is a long way. What recurring income product are you going to sell? You've got to figure that out first. You've got to figure out the place that I want the prospect when they become a customer, when I upsell them or when I resell them the recurring income thing. I need to know the final destination. There's a ton of reasons you need to know this. One, because we're going to structure everything leading up to that. There you go, Sean. One, we're going to structure everything up to that with that final destination in mind. And this is really, talking about the medical marijuana guy, this is really the problem they had with their business was they knew the final destination. They knew where they wanted to get people to go. They just started off by pointing them in the wrong direction, so to speak. Okay. Now, the next thing you need to do, this may sound crazy to you, but this is really the way to do this. So you decide what recurring income product do you want to sell. So a bunch of y'all were talking about video marketing. So what would that be? One new video a month. Okay, I mean something as simple as that. Google My Business, ongoing SEO. Selling a recurring service, right? That perhaps like content marketing, selling a recurring service that's hopefully handled by software, so that you're not killing yourself doing that recurring service. Selling a recurring service, right? Those kinds of things. So where do you want to end up, right? Now figure out. You got to do this next. Otherwise, you're going to be like this is what the medical marijuana people totally missed. All right, this is what, and I told them, I said, well, I'm looking at this, it's obvious. This is what needs to happen. So you need to understand the benefits to the buyer of buying this recurring income product, just the recurring income product, okay? In other words, you need to figure out where you want people to go, and you need to figure out the benefits of the buyer actually buying that final step. The next thing you need to do, and don't get incredibly hung up on this one, but the next thing you need to do is you need to figure out what's the best type of business for this recurring product. You're probably not selling $1,000, $1,500 a month Google My Business ranking service to, let's say, a hair salon with 2, what do you call them nowadays? Hair salon people, hairdressers. One of whom owns the business and is barely making any money, and the other, basically the employee is making more money than the owner. They're just barely scraping by. They're not a candidate for another $1,000 or $1,500 of advertising. And maybe they're in a town of 100,000 people, right? In other words, most everybody in the town knows where they are anyway. They don't need you, and you don't need to be advertising to them. All right. So decide what recurring income product you want to sell. Figure out what the benefits of that recurring income product to the buyer are. And from there, figure out the best kind, or I said type, I should really say types. Okay, let's just do that. Best types of businesses. Unless they are for this recurring product. Who should I market to, right? Daryl, I just read that. Now, set up a simple funnel. And here's the key, and this is what the medical marijuana guy missed. every step of that simple funnel. So let's say a simple funnel. Now the funnel is the thing that's going to, hang on, make this happen. All right, this stuff right here. So in other words, when that, let's say you scrape emails and you send a cold email to a bunch of plumbers. The benefit mentioned in that cold email needs to be exactly the same benefit as your monthly recurring deal. Otherwise, as they work as that prospect works their way through the funnel, at some point they're going to drop off because they're not going to understand what they're looking at, because they thought they were wanting an X and suddenly you're trying to sell them a Y. All right, this is, I know it's a little abstract. This is incredibly, incredibly important. This is exactly why the medical marijuana company was not converting their leads. Right here. Okay, so figure out the benefit. Make sure that benefit is stated in every step of the funnel, from the first contact to what you say to them if you called them, to if you do a qualifying call, to the text of that qualifying call, to your sales presentation needs to hammer in that big benefit. And then when if you're not automatically selling them the recurring income thing, or if you have another level of recurring income thing that you want to sell them, that second sales presentation, or if you're, what I like to do is just do it at the same time. That's a little advanced, but that second sales presentation, it all needs to be the same benefit all the way down. But you won't even know that, because a lot of y'all could probably answer what recurring income product you want to sell, and a lot of y'all could probably spitball who you want to sell it to, but most of y'all are going to have a hard time pinpointing the benefits. I'm just saying. Now, here's the deal right here. This is the freaking gold right here. Okay. Let's even highlight this in yellow. Oh, shoot. Now, we talked about all of those potential leads, prospects, all that stuff that, you got through all this work, but they didn't buy. Well, this is what, Fiona, that's a fabulous question. Let me answer that in just a second. This is how you're going to nurture those people. So remember in our example, and I'm not looking at the numbers, we had 960 potential leads. We had, 36 leads. We had, kind of forgot the numbers now, 3 prospects, left over, right? Well, we need to nurture those, but they don't need to be nurtured the same way. Matter of fact, if you're nurturing them all as a group, you're screwing up. They need different types of attention. Now, it doesn't mean that you need to have something really, really complex that you're doing. That won't work either. But it does mean that you need to really start to understand what the difference between the lead and the potential lead was. I mean, what did the lead see that the potential leads, the other 960 didn't see? What was it? I mean, was it just timing? Well, if it was just timing, then all I got to do is just hit them up with a newsletter once a month, and they'll start dropping out for me, right? I mean, they'll start calling me up, which they will. So from the leads to the prospects, I mean, from the leads that let's say you call those people back, all 40 of those people, and we got, I think, 4 prospects in our example and left 36 leads. Well, what did the 36 not hear? What was there, or what was going on with the 36 that they didn't say, yeah, man, I'm pretty interested. I really would like to know more. You're going to have to speak that to them. Okay. So whatever each one of those was lacking, you want to segment this and you want to follow up with that group, right? Because your goal is really to bump these people up step by step. Take that, bump them up to a lead, bump them up to a prospect, bump them up to a customer, bump them up to a repeat customer. Of the people that you did a sales presentation to who didn't buy, why didn't they buy? I mean, what was it? Wrong timing? Didn't have money in the bank? Just finished, estimating their taxes. I mean, what was the deal here? You got to kind of think through that. Okay, so and what's gonna get those 3 prospects that you didn't sell to, that you didn't close? What's going to get them back in the game? Because those people can be easily gotten back in the game. And when you set this up, and the way to do this is obviously with an autoresponder, right? But it's a little more complex than dumping everybody on a list and just mailing them shut. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like that, Fiona. Fiona, you just got great questions and insights. That's very cool. So think about that, guys. This is what, look, if you do this, wow, it's a ton, right? I got it. I understand. But we're talking about starting a business. We're talking about you creating a thing. Make sure you understand what I'm saying here. Make sure you understand what we're getting at. You're going to create a thing, a business, that's going to pay you $100,000, $150,000, $200,000, $250,000 a year, and you yourself are not. I mean, we're going to work it so that you yourself are not killing yourself running that business. In other words, you have plenty of time. That's a lot of money, and you're going to have plenty of time to enjoy the money. Having money and time to enjoy the money. That's the holy grail. So, I mean, how much would it cost you to go out and buy, what are those things called? Annuities? I mean, think about it. How much would, now with an annuity, you pay some company a bunch of money and then they just send you money every month. Now, granted, you have to do 0 work there. Okay. So it should cost a whole ton more than this business. But how much would you give let's say, how much would you give somebody if they could guarantee you $150,000 a year and all you had to do was work, quote unquote, 15 hours a week with a lot of vacation time? How much would that be worth to you? I mean, it should be worth a ton of money, right? In other words, this is not really simple. It's not hard, but it's not that simple. See what I'm saying? So, but this should be a little harder than somebody just buying some cheap info product and going down step 1, step 2, step 3, and money starts, money starts spitting out of your laptop. That thing. I mean, it should be a little harder than that, right? It should have more value is what I'm trying to say. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it, and then the value would go down. I mean, just basic economics. The value would go away. Right here, this is the deal. Now, let me just tell you something, because I did this in my own business, and I've seen it happen in other people's business. Once you have this all in place, so we're talking about leading up to number 5, including number 5, where you start splitting off that residue, the 960, the 36, the ones that weren't leads, didn't become prospects, didn't buy, didn't get upsell to the recurring income thing, right? All those. And once you start approaching them in a structured manner, which with an autoresponder, once you set it up, you're good. You're golden. You're good to go. And it's not that hard. You just got to think through how you're going to treat these 4 categories of people. But once you set that up, and if you are doing active prospecting, all right? I mean, if you really get off your butt and you go, I'm just going to choose something that's really time intensive. If you really get off your butt, somebody says, wow, didn't even think of an autoresponder that way. Oh yeah, that, Fiona, is actually the key to the kingdom. If you really get off your butt, and let's choose like the most time intensive type of prospecting, which maybe would be going to network meetings, which I love to do, but you got to get in the car and go there. You get on the, Fiona lives in London. Fiona's going to get on the tube and go there, right? So it takes time. Fiona, did I get anywhere near the way you pronounce that? No. It sounds like a good old Southern boy trying to say it, doesn't it? But anyway, so you know what I'm saying? I mean, it takes a lot of time. But even with that, even if, you know, if you're serious, if you're saying, okay, I'm going to finally build this freaking business, you can go to enough network meetings so that you could have 100 potential leads in a week, every week. Okay? 100 every week. Now, with our little with our little thing about 1,000 potential leads and 40 leads, I was really thinking about cold email prospecting, okay, because that's about 4%. Highly targeted cold email prospecting. With networking, you're going to get they're going to get more of those people that you meet are going to actually turn into leads, and more, you know, higher percentage of those are going to actually turn into prospects. All right, so. Fiona lives in the country, not getting on the tube again. So, I mean, just choose the most laborious way of getting in touch with people. Network meetings. You can collect 100 new business cards is what I'm talking about. The top of the sales funnel, you can collect 100 new business cards every freaking week. How long is it going to take you to get enough of those people into the various parts of the funnel before out the bottom of the funnel starts dropping out sales, like the medical marijuana guy who called me because he was spending a massive ton of money on ads and getting nothing out of it because he needed help with that. It's not going to take long is my point. Okay? 30 to 60 days, you're going to start seeing sales drop out. Not the sales that you made automatically, those are great. But I'm talking about out of the autoresponder thing. You're going to start seeing sales drop out of that. People are going to start calling you back and saying, hey, this is so-and-so, you know, we talked a few weeks ago, and yeah, I mean, I listened to it. I was pretty interested in that. It just, you know, I apologize. It just wasn't really the right time. I kind of need to know more about that because my partner was talking to me about, you know, I mean, you're going to have all this stuff, people reaching out to you. Now, understand this. The more you prospect, of course, if you're not doing any prospecting, people, nothing will ever happen, ever. You might as well just go down to the liquor store and buy another lotto ticket. Yeah, no, that's harsh, but that's true. All right. So, more prospecting you do, the more sales you make automatically, but the more you load up this machine that you can build. See, this builds a machine. It's run by an autoresponder. The more you can load up this machine, and the more these sales are going to start dropping out the bottom, the more these people are going to start, you know, reconnecting with you and basically saying they're ready for the next step. Okay? Now, I can't tell exactly what your percentages are, because if you're starting out with cold emailing, or you're starting out with going to network meetings, or you're starting out on LinkedIn, those are all three wildly different. I mean, somebody mentioned LinkedIn a while back. I mean, LinkedIn, I can easily send out 15 new messages I can easily connect, in other words, make a connection with 15, I can send out 50 connection requests per day safely on LinkedIn, okay, without getting my account shut down, safely on LinkedIn. 25%, not 25%, 25, 30, 35 of those are going to say yes, and then you're going to be connected with them, right? And LinkedIn marketing is a little different. Yeah, Keith, this is being recorded. It'll be up on a web page. I'll mail that web page to you tomorrow. So on LinkedIn, I mean, I can send out 50 connection requests per day, and of all of my people I'm connected with, which is going to grow over time, I can message them, or I can use, I mean, even with a free account, I can use search to narrow down into a certain niche, and I can message them, and I can send them a little marketing message, and I can easily do 50 a day there. So that's 50 a day. All right. I said with networking, you could do what, 100 a week. With LinkedIn, you can reach out to 50 a day. And so you're constant, and by the way, guys, on LinkedIn, a lot of these people leave an email address. All right. I mean, if you know where to look, you can find it. I would say about 30, 40%. So hold on, Kim. I'm not quite sure what that. Kim says, what do you say? Kim, can you? I'll be happy to tell you what to say, but I need to know exactly what you want, the place that you want to know. Oh, okay. Yeah. Hold that thought, Kim. Well, Kim, save that for Q&A, okay? So, I mean, you get the drift, right, guys? If you're doing this every day and every week, as you should be, because you're really trying to build a real business and you're not just playing around, you're going to end up with 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, 3,000 email addresses on your autoresponder that you're going to be sending marketing messages to, I would suggest once a month. And it doesn't, that number on your autoresponder does not have to be too big before you don't have to do much prospecting ever again. I mean, just a few thousand will do it. You know, and if you're connecting with, so let's say you do LinkedIn Monday through Friday, so that's 50 times 5, that's 250. It's going to take you a month to reach out to 1,000 people. Let's say you get 500, let's say half of those you can somehow get the email address from. It's either on their LinkedIn profile or they give it to you, whatever. So that's 500 people a month on a, you know, going into the autoresponder, right? Now, some of those are going to go ahead and buy, right? But 500 people a month going in the autoresponder, that's 6,000 people a year. I mean, literally, even if you were just really slow, by the end of the year, your business is in a whole different level, right? I mean, you're basically just managing, you know, your business is going to really level up. Do you understand the power of, Fiona, LinkedIn ads are really expensive. Do you understand the power of this, guys? And what I'm trying, it's a little abstract. Granted, it's a little abstract. This is not one of those, buy my system, do these 3 steps, you know, make all this money. You know, sometimes that works and sometimes usually it doesn't work, not because the thing that you bought was bad, but because you lack the business structure to do it. It's nobody's fault. Again, I'm the guy that gives you the business structure. So, as your email list of prospects, leads, and potentials, leads, and prospects grows, it's going to start to throw off business, and your conversions are going to skyrocket, and it doesn't take long. I mean, you can literally be in an entirely different world 6 months from now. So you can, from what I've told you, we've been on here an hour and 22 minutes. Okay, that's a long time. And I really deeply, I mean, I've got virtually everybody who started with me on the webinar still on the webinar, and I deeply appreciate your time. I'm seeing questions just fly by on the question panel. I'll get to those at the end in Q&A. I'm happy to answer all the questions you need to. But let me just point out, for free, I just told you how to create a remarkable business for free. All I do is just walk away from here feeling really good about this, and I do. It's right here, guys. This right here. This right here. That's how you create a remarkable business. Decide what recurring income product, a remarkable business. 6 figures, but not 40 hours a week. That's what I'm talking about. Plus plenty of vacation time. You got it? Decide what recurring income product you're going to sell, figure out the benefits to that, figure out the best types of businesses to sell that to, set up a simple funnel, making sure that same benefit appears every step of the way, and then set up and, you know, start rolling people, you know, doing your prospecting, start rolling people through those steps, and especially with the residuals, the people who don't make it to the next step, put them in an autoresponder and market to them. It's really pretty simple. There's some skill. Somebody mentioned skill at the beginning of the webinar. Yeah, it takes some skill to do this. Not a lot. I mean, I got a friend who's a spine surgeon. It does not take that much skill, but it takes some skill, right? So you can just go off and do this right now. You can just say, man, that's cool. I'm going to do this. You can leave right now and do it. And I'm all for you doing that. Or I can help you do it. Okay. And that's what, I'm not going to spend long talking about this because I don't even have a sales page up. I'll have a sales page up for the new class that we've created that is going to start in a couple of weeks. Like I said at the beginning of the webinar, I've been so crazy busy, it's just not even funny. But I knew that I had to get this information out to you before the end of the year because it goes with the class that I taught at the beginning of the year, one new client every week. And you put these two things together, you are completely unstoppable. Okay. But if you want help, and I'm going to define help. Okay. If you want help doing this for you, for your business, I understand I've been doing this stuff since 2007. This is 2019. So I know a lot about a lot of stuff. I especially know how these businesses work. Okay. Now, if you want help doing this, now you're going to do the work, but I'm going to help you. If you want help doing, I'm not going to do it for you, is what I'm saying. If you want help doing this, if you want help creating this for yourself, so that you have a business in place, you have a machine in place so that you know what kind of prospecting to do, so that you do that prospecting, so you have your autoresponder taking up the slack and your email list is growing really fairly rapidly over time, so that as that kicks in, you start to see your business change and grow in a very remarkable way. If you want help doing that, I can help you doing that. Let me describe to you how I can help you do that, okay? What I'm offering to you, and it's going to be very inexpensive, okay? I'm not really here to, I love making money, but it turns out that for me, it's works better for me to do things like group webinar coaching instead of one-on-one coaching. I used to do one-on-one coaching, and I got to where I had to charge so much for it that because my time's so valuable that I mean, really hardly anybody could afford it, and that's fine, right? I just basically priced myself out of the market. But then I came up with the idea of, I thought, why don't I just get everybody on a webinar? I'm doing the same thing with everybody anyway, because these businesses are really all the same when you strip them down and understand it. So why don't I just get everybody on some webinars, and I can lead everybody through the steps to build this thing, right? And that's what we're going to do. And I can end up charging you a whole ton less, because by the time all y'all pay me for this, I'm making the kind of money I need to make for my time. Okay. So I'd like to invite you to a class that I've just created. It's called 30 Days to Freedom. The freedom is, you know, I told, now some of y'all aren't making any money, or you're making very little money. This will help you make more, but the real freedom is making money and having time. Okay. That's what we're talking about here. 30 Days to Freedom. In 30 Days to Freedom, I'm going to work with you step by step to build the business that I just explained to you for yourself. We do this via email coaching. We have a webinar. We have a week that's got homework in it. I've already got the homework all written out. You're going to do the homework. You're going to get it back to me. I am actually going to read the homework. I'm going to send it back to you. I'm going to tell you what you did wrong. The homework is not bullshit. The homework is you doing the steps you need to take to build that business I'm talking about, the recurring income autopilot business. So you do that every week. By the end of the 30 days, you're going to end up with this thing in place and knowing how to stoke the top of the funnel so that you don't really have to worry about this ever again. So I'm going to help you design a simple funnel for your business. I don't care what you've sold. I mean, I don't care what you're selling. This does not depend on what you're selling. I know nothing about medical marijuana. I don't even drink beer, but I can look at that guy's, and did so in about 4 nanoseconds. I can look at that guy's, sales funnel. He just showed me the whole thing. He showed me the, the email, the squeeze page, the ad, showed me the landing page and all this stuff, and bam. I don't even drink beer, and bam. Well, this is what you need to do. Why is that? Because human nature is human nature. I don't care if a business is buying a video marketing program. I don't care if a business is buying SEO. I don't care if a business is buying a content marketing service. It's a human being buying something that they think is going to help their business. And that process is always psychologically exactly the same, right? I'm also going to help you create the various email sequences you need for this business. That's really where a lot of you guys are going to get stuck, is right in here. Okay, right in there. Not setting up the autoresponder. I mean, hell, you can look at a video and figure out how to set up an autoresponder. Or if you're just like a complete klutz when it comes to internet stuff, hire somebody on Fiverr to set it up for you, okay? You know, but we're talking about the marketing message that needs to go out, because it's going to need to be a little different for these different groups, because you don't want to treat a potential lead in the same way that you would treat a prospect that you already had a sales presentation with, but they didn't buy, right? You understand that? Fiona, did you say that when I mentioned the word homework? So I'm going to help you create these email sequences for your business. Now, you're going to write the emails, but I'm going to read them and correct them for you. Not the grammar. I'm going to correct the marketing. And when we're done with this in 4 weeks, you're going to have this complete business. And all you got to do, if you will do it, which I hope you do, because I mean, I'm sitting here telling you that you're going to really radically change everything. Okay? And what you're going to have when you're done is all you got to do is turn the crank. In other words, all you got to do, let's say you start this out scraping cold emails. Well, all you got to do is scrape cold emails. And now you got the machine that processes those. You know what to do every step of the way. If you go to network meetings, well, fine, great. Get in the car or the tube and go to a bunch of network meetings. If it's on LinkedIn, great. Go, do LinkedIn. See what I'm saying? You know, as long as you're stoking the top of the funnel, these things drop out, and then you take the ones who didn't make the cut to the next step and you put them in your autoresponder. Your autoresponder is already queued up. If you get something like ActiveCampaign, you can even create loops so that you never have to put another email in the damn autoresponder again. You just loop through the same emails year after year after year, and nobody's going to know or care. This is beautiful, guys. For a period of 4 weeks, you're going to have email. This is, I should charge more money for this because this is kind of crazy. For a period of 4 weeks, you can have email access to me as I help walk you through on an individual basis through all of this. Now, you may be wondering, how in the hell could Lee walk a bunch of people through all of this? I mean, isn't it like really different for all these individuals? No, I just said it wasn't. It's actually, from my point of view, from the sales and marketing point of view, exactly the same for all of you. It's just where one person is focused on selling a video marketing program, the other person's focused on content marketing on LinkedIn. Other than that, it's exactly the same. All right? Superficially, you are different from each other. Take the superficial away, you guys are, in business terms, clones of each other. All right? Homework every week, email me questions. I'm going to help you get unstuck. Who here is stuck? Just be honest. It's okay. Nobody's going to see this except for me. And I'm not going to yell out and say, well, so-and-so's stuck. Yeah, well, there's a person who's stuck. There's several people who are stuck. I'm going to help you get unstuck. The reason you're stuck is not because you didn't buy the right info product. Guys, the reason you're stuck is not because you didn't buy the right info product. Rick, I do not have a sales page up. Rick wants to know the price. Rick, I'm just going to send this to you personally. It's very affordable, okay? Like super affordable. Again, I can make it super affordable because I'm doing this in bulk. Now, sales page, I mean, if I had the sales page up, we would flip over to the sales page and I would show it to you and a bunch of y'all would buy. I don't have it up. I mean, it is what it is. I'm a super busy guy, all right? So, and I, you know, I kind of got behind in the middle of the week. Life is just life. But by tomorrow morning, I'm going to have the sales page up. Now, here's the deal. Listen. No, Rick, you don't. This is all going to happen. Just buy the thing. You're going to get an introductory email. It's going to tell you everything. Okay, guys, everybody wants to know how much the damn thing is. Guys, I'm not going to kill you with this. I'm going to charge you $67 for this remarkable program. That's a 6 followed by a 7. I think anybody can afford that. I don't know. Maybe some couple of people can't, but most of y'all can afford that. And the reason, Adam and everybody else, that I can do that so cheaply, I know, Rick, I'm crazy, but Rick, did you see these? Did you see these testimonials at the beginning of the webinar? No, this was from my previous deal, my previous class. I mean, listen to this. After taking Lee Cole's Blueprint course, 1 client per week, I completed all the webinars and built a website for press release service in just a few days. Lee reveals the secret I wish I knew, blah, blah. Best of all, check this out. Best of all, I got my first client for a case study and testimony in 1 week. Bam. Sonia, I purchased and went through all your videos for 1 client a week training. You're right. This is life-changing. Sonia didn't write it down, but Sonia also started getting clients. Bam. Look at this one. I want to say, wow, your program's a real deal. I've completed only 1/4 of the program and already have a client. Bam. That training is going to be complemented by this training. I'll tell you what, I've got the recordings of that previous training. I'll make a note of my to do this. I'm not going to give you the recordings for free. That would be unfair to the people that paid me. But I'll have 2 buying options. You can either just buy this training that I'm talking about today, or if you didn't get the recordings for 1 new client per week, I'm going to have a little more expensive option, not a lot more expensive, but a little more expensive option where you can buy the training I'm talking about today, plus you can get the recordings for 1 new client per week. So in other words, if you missed out on that, which I think a lot of you did, because I have a lot of you who are new to my world on this webinar, and I really appreciate that. And this is a lot of what we've been doing in our business, is kind of getting away from the whole launch model and, you know, getting into more of a paid advertising model because it's saner. And you know, a lot of you guys weren't around here the first of the year to take me up on that. Rick, this is going to start week after next. I got to look at the calendar. Again, guys, I apologize for being behind. Okay, I'm just about a day behind. It just is what it is. And also, it's Labor Day weekend in the United States. Fiona and everybody else who is not in the United States, this is a big freaking holiday. And I plan on actually enjoying myself with my family, because that's the deal, right? Make money and have time to enjoy it. So, Rick, yeah, so this is going to start week after next, and it will be, again, I got to look at the calendar, but I like to do my webinars at 3 o'clock my time. That works for me really well. They're always recorded. They go in a members area. You can go to the members area and look at the recording. Most of y'all are going to want to look at the recording several times, and there's going to be homework. It's all going to be in the members area, but we'll probably start, I'm pretty sure we're going to start this in 2 weeks. I think it's going to be Wednesday. Again, I'm not looking at the calendar, at 3 o'clock. Okay, so 3 o'clock is what, Fiona? It's only 8 o'clock at night, your time. Right? I mean, aren't there 5 hours difference between me and you? I'm talking about 3 p.m. my time. And then they're 5 hours, I'm in Eastern Standard Time. They're 5 hours difference between me and you. Rick says, any particular stuff that needs to be had, autoresponder, hosting, etc. You're going to need an autoresponder. But guys, listen. Do not go out. And if you don't have an autoresponder, do not go out and, I mean, you're welcome to. Most of them have free trial periods. That's fine, but just don't go out and sign up for one yet, because there's just some stuff that I need you to understand that it needs to do. None of it's esoteric. None of it's weird. None of it's high priced. It's just, I don't want you to get some crap autoresponder and then you're not going to be able to do this business because your crap autoresponder can't do the one thing that it needs to do. Okay? So if you don't have an auto, yeah, you're going to need an autoresponder, because we're going to put everybody on a list, and we're going to intelligently market you to them, and you're going to do your prospecting. You're going to build that list, and sales are going to start dropping out of the bottom of that funnel. So you got to have an autoresponder, but I don't want you to get a crap autoresponder. Okay. Adam, I've never used that. I think probably so, but um, Adam, when it's time to get, if you already got that, great. When it's time to get that, when we get to the autoresponder part, notice that's down at the bottom, so it's going to come a little later. But Adam, when we get to the autoresponder part, I'm going to tell you what you need to be looking for. I'm pretty sure ConvertKits is going to be perfect for that, but with the caveat that I've never personally used it. Okay. I need the auto. Okay, so look, without without like blowing your minds. Okay, so those of you who are not techie, that's fine. I don't particularly enjoy tech either. I just love to sell stuff. Those of you who are not techie, it's totally cool. Don't freak out, okay? Just like get, like during the Civil War when they used to saw people's legs off, just go bite on a bullet or something when I say this. But really, it would be best, you don't have to have this, but it really would be best if your autoresponder could do some baby automation. Don't freak out because I said the word automation, okay? Even I think Aweber can now do baby automation. I have an Aweber account, but it's just a place where we dump everything just to make sure we have another copy of it. I use ActiveCampaign mainly. Now, most autoresponders have some baby automation. Okay, ActiveCampaign really has great automation. It's slightly, not a ton, but it's ever so slightly more than Aweber. But don't go out and buy that right now. If you don't have it, if you got what you got, then when we're going back and forth with email, we're going to figure out whether that's going to work for you or not. Even with an autoresponder that doesn't have really great automation, I can tell you a little workaround where you can get around this. What we need to be able to do, and I'm maybe getting into too many details, but what we need to be able to do, guys, is we need to be able to loop through a series of emails ad infinitum forever. Why is that? Because there's nothing more hateful than having to sit down and write a ton more emails. Just get the damn things written one time, send them to me, I read them, you're done. We're writing short emails. Short emails. People do not want to sit there and read War and Peace. They just want wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. They want to know who you are, what you got, and what it's going to do for them. Bam, that takes all of like 5 sentences. Okay, short emails. Anybody here can do this. All right, you do not have to be Ernest Hemingway, who did not write War and Peace, by the way. That was Tolstoy, but you don't have to be that. If you can write if you can string together a 5-sentence, you're good to go. But I'm going to read these anyway. It's ideal if you can create, like 12 emails and then just loop through them once a year, because that way, I love stuff where I set it up and I never ever have to think about it ever again. That's my goal, right? And that's the direction I've been moving everything for past few years, frankly. But so again, begin with the end in mind. In other words, let's don't screw ourselves in the very beginning by writing a bunch of emails and then, holy crap, like 6 months from now, you got to redo the whole thing because you're going to be busy dealing with your business because you're going to be finally having sales. Okay. Yeah, Jamil's asking me if I will talk to, look, Jamil's asking me if I will talk to you about cold calling. I love cold calling. I know it's scary as hell for most of y'all, and it's really not comfortable for me. Believe it or not, I'm actually an introvert. People don't believe that when I tell them that. But I mean, if you gave me like a bunch of books, I mean, if I didn't have a family, okay, but if you gave me a bunch of books and put me on a desert island, and I probably need a dog, and I had food and water, I'd be happy for the rest of my life. Yeah, I mean, I'm that much of an introvert, okay? So Jamil, I don't really enjoy that. I mean, I do have to like not psych myself up, but I do have to go, okay, man, let's dial the phone. Like that, a little bit, right? Hold that thought, Rick. But Jamil, given that you're capable of that, and I think you are, because you've been on other webinars, and I know you're working at this stuff. Given that you're capable of that, yes, sir, I can tell you how to build a phenomenal business through cold calling. And Gene Kalinda, who is still on the webinar, says cold calling is the bomb. And she is absolutely right. That's how I built my business in the very beginning. I quit my job one day. I woke up the next day. I said, holy crap, I need to make money. I'm normally not this spontaneous. I Googled some stuff. In this case, it was opticians in Atlanta, Georgia, in the South in the United States where I live. I said, opticians in Atlanta. I started at the top. I cold called. I was doing, it turned into Google. My business was called Google Places back in the day. I was, selling an optimization service. By the 12th call, guy says, yeah, I need help with this and some other stuff. Can you come over? Some of you all heard this story before. I went over, I said, I got a bunch of appointments. I didn't have jack, I was just lying through my teeth. I got a bunch of appointments. I mean, he said, well, that he's really, he said he tried to get the guy who built his website to do it, but he doesn't know what he's doing. And I said, okay, I tell you what, it sounds like you really need this done. I can move some things and fit you in at 4 o'clock today, right? Yeah. And, so I'll go over there. I talk to the guy about an hour, walk out with, I think it was $800 check, some huge check. It seemed huge to me at the time, right? $800 check in my hand. So Jamil, I can flat out tell you how to cold call. Okay. But for those of you who are like now in a cold sweat in the fetal position, sucking your thumb on the floor, don't worry. You don't have to cold call if you don't want to. I love cold calling. It is very direct. Okay. Fiona says Fiona cannot cold call. Fiona, I would challenge you that you probably could. You're pretty cool. But if you just can't, you can't, that's fine. There's a zillion ways to skin the cat. Okay, cold email, LinkedIn, go to network meetings. There's a ton of ways. I can show you what you need to do and help walk you through building this, whether you cold call or not. This is not required cold calling. So Jamil, I'm happy to talk about cold calling. I've had like 40 million, Frederick, GetResponse. I think they introduced some, I used to use GetResponse and I gave up my account like 3 years ago because I just had a plethora of autoresponder accounts. It was just getting insane. And I think that a few years ago, they introduced some automation. I've never done it on there. I don't know how to do it on there, but I'm pretty sure they can do what we need them to do, which is not hard. I'm just saying some crap autoresponder probably isn't going to, look, one of these desktop things that you hook up through SMTP or Gmail or some crap like that, that's not crap. I mean, it's just the way it works. That just send, emails to everybody and stuff like that. El Cheapo thing like that won't work. Okay. You need really a platform. All right. Aweber would work. GetResponse probably work, Frederick. ActiveCampaign definitely work. ConvertKits, I bet would work. Again, Adam asked that. Fiona, thank you so much. Fiona says, so excited, a light at the end of a long, dark tunnel. Yeah, let's turn on some lights in the tunnel, okay, so you can see where you're going. Because, look, I mean, Fiona, just think about what you're trying to build here. And it's buildable. Gene's done this longer than I have, actually. I've done this. Tons of people have done this. Like those testimonials at the very beginning, all those people did it. Okay? You can do it too. But it should be a little hard, right? Because think about what you're going to have when you get it done. It should be not hard. I mean, it's not hard like picking up 400 pounds off the floor, which I couldn't do, but it should be some work, right? Otherwise it wouldn't have a value. So guys, and Don, I really don't know about SendGrid. Somebody just said SendLane will work, so SendLane will work. And Don, I don't know enough about SendGrid to know. But Don, when we get to that point, I'm going to explain to you what it needs to do, and then you can just go call them up and ask them if it can do that, okay? But look, guys, if you already got something and you're paying for it and you like it and you know how to use it, which is a good thing because there's always a little bit of a learning curve, I can give you a workaround. It's just the workaround's, going to take you like a couple of hours pain in the butt every year or every 6 months to do the workaround. I can give you a workaround, okay? It's going to be even easier if we get something to do a little automation. So guys, this is kind of crazy. I'm a born salesperson. I literally, this is not a joke. I have sold stuff ever since I was 12 years old. I'm not 12 now. All right. It's been a really long time. And it's just kind of crazy for me to talk to you about this and not have a sales letter up. That's kind of like an unforgivable sin. But it is what it is. I got behind. And furthermore, I trust that you understand that I'm just not trying to sell you some shit here. I'm trusting that you understand me. This webinar has to be wildly different from any other webinar you've ever been on. It's wildly different from any webinar I've ever been on, okay? With somebody else, all right? This is real, and I'm gonna have a baby sales page. The sales page is gonna have the replay, a little bit, a little bit of reiteration about what we're talking about, and a buy button. I'll probably have 2 buy buttons, one just to buy this and one a little more expensive buy button if you want the replays from the One New Client Every Week. Both of those will be there, and you look at this, you decide whether this will be good for you. I think it's going to be great for you personally. I mean, I designed it to be great. I want more success from you guys. Really, I love those testimonials. Those testimonials are beautiful to me. But but ball's in your court. But that will be up tomorrow morning. Okay. You bet, Fiona. Thank you, Daryl. Daryl learned to trust me in January. Well, that's just a beautiful thing. I really, really do appreciate that. Trust is something that takes a little while to earn and takes about a nanosecond to destroy. Questions, Q&A. Any more questions, guys? I mean, I've been sitting here talking to Blue Street for 2 hours. And my dog, have you noticed, those of you who know me and know that I have rescue dogs, right? You know how much I love dogs, right? And have you noticed that my dogs have not made one peep, one sound? Sam. Just send that to everybody. Got any questions? Just got a question you want to ask me privately? Do that. You didn't think of a question and then the webinar is over. Oh crap, I wish I'd asked Lee that. Shoot me a ticket. Rick, good and reasonable content you've provided for a while. Thank you so much, Rick. I really appreciate that. My goal is to give you real stuff that's really going to build a real business, okay? Which is, and I'm not dissing anybody. I mean, the stuff you buy that's recommended by people like me, by people like Gene, by people like Jim Mack, it's really quality stuff. Just a lot of times you're missing some other stuff, which is where Lee comes into the picture. I'm the guy that teaches you the other stuff so that you can take the stuff like Sam that's on your hard drive. Your hard drive, Sam, is probably making $300,000 a year now. But you take all that stuff on your hard drive and actually turn it into cash. That's where I come in. Any more questions? Because Fiona, if that's how you want to front end, Fiona says, will you be going through social media marketing? Fiona, if that's how you want to front end your business, and by that time, Jesus Christ, by that I mean if that's going to be how you are going out and finding those potential leads, then yeah, I'll be happy to talk to you about how to do that. There's tons of ways of doing that, and I'll be happy to point you in the right direction. If you want to do it on LinkedIn, I'll be happy to just show you how to do it, by the way, because I'm a freaking badass when it comes to LinkedIn. Anything else, guys? Otherwise, I'm going to power it down. We're going to download the recording. It'll be up by tomorrow afternoon on the sales page. Now, this is going to be available for this price through Monday. Monday is a big holiday here in the United States, so I thought, why not just like Saturday through Monday? And that's another reason why I'm kind of rushing this. Normally, I would have just given myself a little more time and had the sales page up. I don't. It is what it is, because I wanted to do, we call this Labor Day. This weekend, it's a big, it's for us in the United States, it marks the end of summer, okay? But 3 days, I'm gonna have this available to you for 3 days. I'm gonna be emailing you to remind you that, hey, I mean, buy it today, or it's only available for one more day, whatever. And then after the 3 days, I'm going to raise the price. If one new client every month is more expensive than when we first sold it, so I'm going to raise the price. And if you want to wait and pay me more money, cool. Guys, I mean, within reason, this is worth really whatever I want to ask for it. I just kind of like to keep it low because, again, I get so many people buying these things, and then my time is so effectively used that I make the money I need for per unit time, but also I get more you guys capable of actually getting the information that you need. Fiona, I'm thinking about, I don't know, I'm gonna have to think about that. I'm gonna have to think about that. Yeah, something like that. And it's in that ballpark. In other words, not twice. It's gonna be less than twice $67. Rick, no limits on class size. I mean, again, Rick, I know that y'all, if you were all in a room and you say, well, what do you sell? Video marketing. Well, where are you selling? SEO. Well, where are you selling? I'm doing, content marketing on LinkedIn. You would think that you were wildly different from each other. You are not wildly different from each other. You are exact clones of each other, except for a couple of little things, like one person selling SEO and the other person selling video marketing services and the other person selling social media marketing. Those are trivialities, Rick. How to build the business is not the triviality, and that's the part that a lot of y'all been missing. Oh, Kim, I am all over details. And furthermore, so the emails, so Kim, I'm assuming you're talking about the email homework that we're going to talk about and the stuff you're going to have to do and get back to me. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. I am all over details. Now, and furthermore, I'm making myself available for a month so that you can say, Lee, I don't really understand that. And I'll look at it and say, well, yeah, of course you don't understand that because I didn't explain it very well. So that's cool. And I'll get you straightened out and we can forge ahead. And then guys, please, 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 please do this. I mean, please buy it. But I'm saying if you buy it, please actually do it, because if you actually do it, you're going to have an amazing business. Roger, I'll send that out. You're on my list, Roger. I'll send that out to y'all tomorrow morning through my list. Rick, I assume no knowledge. I just assume a willingness to build a freaking great business. Rick says, assume knowledge level to get in class. I assume nothing. I just assume a willingness to, I'm assuming desire. I'm not assuming a knowledge level. Again, knowledge is overrated. I'm not against knowledge, but look guys, when I can go to Fiverr and hire somebody to do virtually anything that I want them to do. I mean, even better than it was a few years ago. Fiverr, once they took away that $5 cap on, where they had to start the gigs at, I mean, Fiverr suddenly became a phenomenal resource. It really competes with Upwork very well. If I can go over to there or Upwork or anywhere and hire somebody for like, $40, $50, $100, $200 to do stuff that I'm charging businesses hundreds and hundreds of dollars for, which is legitimate because I'm the guy that knows how to put this all together, right? But if I can do that, what that means is the people that are getting paid the most money are not the tech people. And this is true in any business. I mentioned I used to work for IBM, right? The people, and I'm not talking about the CEOs and the vice presidents and all that stuff. That's a very few people at the top, but I'm talking about the rank and file. In any business, the people making the majority of the money are the salespeople. You guys need to be the salespeople. Okay, that's what we're talking about here. No, Adam says, Adam, beautiful question. Thank you so much. Do we need to have the full recurring income product service figured out ahead of time? Right now, my main front end thing is help businesses get funding, merchant cash. I like that. Yeah, no, you don't. No, you don't. I mean, if you don't have that figured out, then let's figure it out. Okay, let's just through email. I know how to tell you how to figure that out really fast. And it may be, I don't know, I haven't even thought about what your front end thing is there, but it may be that you reach a dead end and say, well, there's no recurring thing. I mean, that could be, guys. You know, not everything leads to a recurring income product automatically. Okay. And Adam, I'm not saying yours doesn't. I'm just saying that I literally have not ever thought about it. Okay. But I can absolutely help you figure that out. And want to help you figure that out, because guys, if you're not selling recurring, you're doing okay, but you, in terms of building a real business and a real lifestyle, you're massively screwing up. I mean, you almost might as well go work at McDonald's. Not quite, but almost, because it's just too hard. It's just too hard to try to do this off one-offs. Yeah, because by the time you spend that money that month, you got to work your butt off next month to find some more prospects to sell the one-off to, right? Anything else, guys? 2 hours. Thank you so much. A call for questions. This is like last call in a bar. I don't even drink, you know? You bet, Brian. Okay, Adam, we're cool on that. I like that, and I know the people you're talking about there, and I know exactly what you're talking about in terms of upsells. Yes, you and I will work together to make a seamless, intelligent sales funnel that your prospect is going to, you know, by the time your prospect hits the front end thing and buys that from you, and you mention the upsell to the recurring, they're going to think, yeah, that makes total sense, man. Why wouldn't I do that? I need that too. A lot of them are going to think that. It's got to be like sliding down a slide, guys. Like, remember when you were little kids and you slide down slides? We want to be sliding down a slide. Yeah, of course, Fiona, you can. Yeah, for squeeze pages and such, absolutely. Anything else? Roger, I don't understand that question. Got to ask about fulfillment for services, et cetera, outsourcing. In other words, if you want to ask me about that, how to, that's another thing, guys, and I didn't really touch on that, but you need to get your fulfillment down to where it's actually totally duplicatable. Roger, did you buy one new client every month from me in the beginning of the year? What is lead scraping, Fiona? That's just where you, okay, Roger, in that case, where the hell did that come from? Anyway, Roger, in that case, consider buying one new client every month, because in one new client every month, I get into detail about how to structure your fulfillment so that you don't have to think about that ever again, and so that you know who the outsources are, you know exactly what they're supposed to do. That whole thing is nailed down completely and forever. Fiona, lead scraping is basically when you get a piece of software and it goes out on the internet, and in various ways it goes and finds, you know, like you could type in some keywords like, you know, plumbers London. Okay, I guess y'all call them plumbers, I don't know, but plumbers London. And then it would just trundle out on the internet, and it would bring you back a huge list of plumbers in London, address, phone number, email. Okay. There's a ton of those software. There's a ton of software that does that, all the way from fairly inexpensive to very expensive. You know what I would rather do, because again, it's like the autoresponder. I don't want you to get the wrong thing. Can you and I just wait until we kind of get to that part, and then let's just have a little email conversation about, you know, budget and exactly what you're looking at and that kind of thing, so that I can help point you in the right direction, because there are solutions anywhere from, I don't know, $37, like a one-off price for $37 all the way up to $200 a month things. And you may not need you may not need the big thing, right? So cool beans, guys. Again, thank you so much. I'm really, really, really excited about this. I've been wanting to talk to you about this for months. And Roger, it's another training called One New Client Every Week. I did it at the beginning of the year. Don't go out on the internet and buy it. I mean, you're welcome to give me more money, Roger. Let me just give you my PayPal email address and you can just send me money. Let's just make it really simple. But anyway, I'm just joking with you, buddy. But anyway, don't go out and buy it, because I'm going to make you a package deal that's going to save you a ton of money tomorrow when you hit the sales letter. Okay. But hey guys, on the One New Client Every Week, I will, from the sales letter for this thing, I'm going to link to the sales letter for One New Client so that you can read more about it. It's got another webinar that you can look at, and you can read more about it and know more about what's going on there. And if you want to, buy it from the other sales letter. Just give me more money. But for you would be smarter to buy the package deal. Okay, Roger. So let's do that. And Roger, I put let me just do it again, put my support ticket system in here. That's really the best way to get hold of me. Any questions, guys, hit me up in support, and happy to answer all your questions. Cool beans.